under his command. O'Brien set to fly. Only 14 goals to his name before today. It's a beautiful strike. And he might just feels like he belongs now, Tim O'Brien.
Who wears the number 23 for the Hawks? Please welcome Tim O'Brien to Marngrook. Good to see you, Tim. Thanks for coming on.
No worries, thanks for having me.
And obviously you go to Hawthorn and all of a sudden they hand you the number 23 Guernsey, worn by some great champions of the past. Obviously Buddy Franklin just recently, but Dermy's wore it, Don Scott wore it, John Peck way back in the day he wore 23 as well. So it's one of those jumpers that's got a lot of prestige about it and a lot of history. Did it make you nervous when you first went there and they handed over that jumper?
No, not really. I was a bit apprehensive at the start when they first offered it to me, but they assured me that there's no extra pressure that come with it, which was good. And there hasn't been, which is nice. Yeah, a little bit from the fans and cop a little bit over the fence every so often. But yeah, it's a bit of an honour, I guess, to be offered that from the footy club because of those names you spoke of before.
Timmy, you're a Mount Gambier boy, and I know with your footy when you actually used to travel from Mount Gambier because you played with the Glenelg Football Club in the Sandful, and that's a long way to drive from Mount Gambier because Glenelg's on the other side of the city. Like someone like Norwood should have got you, but anyway, that would have put you in good stead in terms of you learning how to move away from home, coming into Adelaide to play. I know you used to travel every few weeks, but eventually you actually moved into Adelaide. Has that helped your career coming to Melbourne?
Yeah.
In terms of leaving your family and everybody? Yeah,
absolutely. Like you said, as a junior, through the underage stuff, I was travelling up with the parents, but then it came to my draft year, and I had to move to Adelaide to get drafted at the end of that year. So moved up with another boy from down in Mount Gambier, and we lived in Adelaide together, worked and played footy. But then, getting across to Melbourne obviously made it a lot easier because I'd been used to being away from home.
You had to grow up quick.
And feed myself and all that sort of stuff. So, that was definitely made it a lot easier.
Now, Tim, looking at that footage of you kicking that goal, you're a fairly tall fella, but I love tall blokes who've got a really good style. It's a very straight style. All the great goal kickers, very straight. Have you always had that? Did you learn it early, or have they modified you as you're getting to the AFL?
No, I think it's just my natural style. Haven't had to change it too much, which is good. There's always little things you can work on, but yeah, most of that is
I like it. Nice style, mate. Nice, smooth, good stuff.
Tim, over the pre-season, you and a group of other young Hawks actually went over to Papua New Guinea and did the Kokoda track, which is something I think the Hawthorn Football Club have been doing for a number of years. Yeah. Can you tell us about that experience?
Yeah, it was hard, very hard. One of the toughest things I've ever had to do. But you learn a lot on a trip like that, I guess. Everything's stripped away from you. Obviously got no phones, no communication with anyone but the little group you're with. Got to learn a lot about Clarko, obviously knowing what he's like at the footy club. But I think everyone on that trip learnt a lot about him, and he learnt a lot about us.
To like him more or less?
No, he's a...
Always like the coach, always like that.
But just on... I thought I'd put him on the spot, Simon.
Never say a bad word about the coach, never.
But just on that, Tim, like the way Hawthorn started, and everybody said, what the hell happened there? And the way you've brought it back, that's a really big change. And how have you seen it as a sort of a youngster amongst it?
Yeah, obviously we had a pretty poor start to the year, but the coaches, obviously headed by Clarko, have changed a few things, and it seemed to have worked for us ever since, especially after the bye. We've played some good sides, and we've either beaten them or had a close game with them. So I think
was there a worry that was going to be the whole season like that you were just going to be that bad for the whole season?
Simon was kind of hoping being this.
I was hoping.
Well, I guess in the back of your mind you're thinking, well, hopefully it's not. But we had to work pretty hard and change those few things that we did, and we did that, and it seemed to have worked for us so far.
Jim, Ruffy will play his 250th game. What's it like playing? What's it like playing with A fella like that who's been through so much, captain of the club, tell us a bit about him.
Yeah, obviously he's gone through a fair bit in the last sort of, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. It's pretty inspiring what he's done and overcome, I guess. So to play with him sort of lifts you up a little bit, and he's always plenty of energy out there on the field. If you kick a goal, he's always the first one to you. So he's just one of those guys everyone loves playing with.
Tim, in line with what Simon was saying before about the bad start to the year, losing the first 6, what's been the catalyst for turning the Hawthorn Football Club around during the year? Put it down to any 1 or 2 things, or is it just a number of things?
No, there's a lot of things that go into it. I guess the injection of youth is one thing that has changed a fair bit. Obviously, our side's a lot different to what it was a year or 2 ago, which is exciting for us as younger players and the footy club, and I guess the fans as well. So I guess that's one of the major factors that's along with the coaching style and game plan.
One thing Coach Alistair Clarkson made at the end of last year, he had to make 2 really big decisions, and he wasn't frightened to make them, and he made them. And he said Mitchell's moving on and Lewis is moving on. The reason, I can just see the way the season's panned out, and I can just see the vision that he's had 12 months ago about where he's heading. And that's what he's done. He's produced players, young players, this season to play more games and give them more game time, like yourself. Sicily's getting more game time. That's the only way this club's going to improve. But to top it off, what Simon said before was, yous were gone. And all of a sudden, in the last 6 and 7, 8 weeks, this football club has turned back the clock so quickly. Why is it so quickly?
Tim's been starring, that's why.
It's been an unbelievable turnaround.
I think whatever it is, bottle it and sell it, and just everybody will want it.
Yeah, no, it has been pretty impressive. I guess with these younger guys have been around the clubs. Like, this is my 5th season. There's a couple other brands the same as me, and then there's a few others in their 4th and 3rd years as well that have obviously been around the club for a fair while.
A lot of them blokes that you mentioned, they all played like 50, 60, 70 games in the reserves, didn't they?
Yeah.
So you blokes have played a lot of footy together, so all of a sudden you're all starting to play senior AFL footy together.
Yeah, and then those guys have come in and have performed well. So it's been a pretty exciting year for the young guys.
They've even got Cyril back on the park. Popular's not back on there. Wait till they get all these other guys.